Gio.
BT and Sal.
Kevin and Tiki.
Keith McPherson, your nighttime host on The Fan.
On the fan.
On the fan.
On the fan.
It's WFAN Daily, hosted by Pete Hoffman.
Mic is not working. There we go. Oh, there it is. There we go. The mic is now working. Welcome to another episode of WFAN Daily with your host, Pete Hoffman. And the Mets and Yankees are about to head into a weekend full of hell for all the New York fans because this Subway Series that's up and coming may define both teams going forward. They are walking into the last 20 games, both 6-14. Yes, that's right. The Yankees in the last 20 games have gone 6-14. The Mets have gone 6-14. They're both walking in two different ways. The Milwaukee Brewers, the Mets were able to take the series. They were able to win 2 or 3. Even though they lost the first game in the doubleheader, they lost the home opener. They were able to bounce back, split the doubleheader, and then on Thursday night, win another dramatic close game, which there was a call that went in their favor. Was that the only reason why they won? No. They did get a couple big hits and good pitching, which was huge for the Mets. So they now walk in with a 2-game winning streak, staying home, not having to travel, and waiting for the Yankees to come in, who now have lost 4 in a row to the Toronto Blue Jays, have lost their lead, at least after losing the first 3. They were still tied for first place technically in the AL East. But after Thursday night's loss, the New York Yankees now are a game behind. They are no longer in first place in the AL East. That goes to Toronto Blue Jays. And the Yankees, like I said, have now lost 4 games in a row and are 6-14 of their last 20, the same as the Mets. So they're both been terrible. This has been awful stretches by both teams. So it's not just the Yankees who are coming off a 4-game sweep, over the Toronto Blue Jays. Both teams have been awful, have been atrocious. And now they're going head-to-head Friday, Saturday, Sunday for, like what I said, could define this season. The Mets have 50 wins. The Yankees have 48. So they're neck and neck. Their records are almost the same. They're both fighting for, first place. They're both a game or so behind first place. And one team is on a downswing. Another team could find their way to the top. Let's put it this way. If a team sweeps here, there's a good chance that team is going to be in first place come Monday. And that's kind of a game changer. And it reminds me of the Jets and Giants. I think I said this the other day, but it reminds me of the Jets and Giants. I think it was 2010, 2011, 2012, whatever year it was. It was the year where the Jets Giants played the holiday game, that Christmas Eve game, and Victor Cruz went for that touchdown, I believe it was a 99-yard touchdown, and just changed the season basically for both teams. It changed the trajectory of both teams. The Giants went to the playoffs, won the Super Bowl, I believe, that year. The Jets, their season was done. They fell flat. Their coach gets fired soon after. I mean, it just was a mess. And that reminds me of this right here. This series is so important. Both teams need this series so bad. And there's so many different levels of similarities, to be honest with you. Bullpen's been rough on both sides. I mean, you look at the Yankees right now. Luke Weaver has had a few bad games in a row. The other day, Devin Williams couldn't keep the lead couldn't keep the tie after the Yankees made a crazy comeback. Couldn't keep the tie, gave up a couple hits, had the wild pitch, and lost the game that way. Luke Weaver has really been dreadful in the bullpen. On the other hand, you got the Mets, who Reed Garrett, I mean, gave up a 5-spot or a 4 or 5 spot, gave up a grand slam home run. He's been awful. There's been a lot of questionable bullpen. I mean, there's been a rotation of bullpen arms coming up and down. It doesn't make a difference. Brazaban used to be in the circle of trust. Now he's an opener. There is no trust anymore when it comes down to bullpen arms in New York. And the starting pitching, Will Warren gave up a 7 spot the other day. And we look at the Mets. Frankie Montas is pitching this weekend. He went 5 innings of shutout baseball his first game, and then he went up and gave up 5 runs in the first inning of his second start. I have no idea what you're going to get. So everything is just chaotic right now with both of these teams, and they're all slumping. There's like 2 guys that are hitting. It's Aaron Judge for the Yankees. I mean, that guy is just unbelievable. Even though he continuously gets intentionally walked, he still finds a way to put the bat on ball at least once a game. He's making a difference. And then, as far as the Mets go, Soto has been red hot. He's the player of the month. So it's not like he cooled off over the last 3 days. Again, he actually had a big single come Thursday that led to the second run, and then Pete Alonso with a big rip to make it 3-1. So, I mean, there's been some players that have been hitting consistently, which is good. Nimmo, another home run, which is nice to see. You see a little bit of blips and bloops from both teams, but it's just not consistent. And they're both struggling right now, and they're both headed into this war, this amazing showdown of 2 teams that are completely collapsing before our very eyes. And what's going to happen? And again, like I said, I think this is going to define the season for both teams. If the Yankees can find a way to come out of that 4-game losing streak, that 4-game sweep in Toronto, and can come to Queens and find a way to just demolish the Mets and point them back up in the first place, I think they're set to take off. And the same thing with the Mets. If the Mets find a way to sweep the Yankees, I think they'll click again. Before this 6-14 streak by both teams, the Mets were on a crazy winning streak. They were on fire, and they just fell apart. Everything was going wrong, and maybe, I don't remember. I can't remember the last time they won a series. That's how long it's been for the New York Mets. But maybe after these wins over a tough Milwaukee Brewer team. No one's going to sit there and say that they were easy. Jose Quintana, they know Jose Quintana, and he's tough, and he pitched pretty well. They faced the kid Mizorowski, who they actually were able to hit for that 1 inning, but still, that's enough at times, right? And they had a crazy matchup in the first game too, which I'm forgetting who pitched for the Brewers that first game. But either way, it wasn't easy. And again, the bats on both ends are just not getting these big hits and big moments. They score in a couple innings here and there, but it's not consistent enough. And it's going to be either a bloodbath for a couple of these games. Like, I'm as a Met fan, you should be scared. Frankie Montas is on the mound. I know Hangerman is going to be on the mound for one of the games, I believe. That's scary. I mean, realistically, are they going to be able to keep the ball in the ballpark? And then when it comes down to the Yankees, I know Stroman had a decent outing the other day, but we know that he can blow up any day too. So between the pitching staffs and the lack of hitting, anything can happen. This may be the most chaotic, the most exciting, the most anticipated Subway Series we've ever had, because everything is out there right now. Both teams, like I said, 6-14 are both teams. They're both at that same stretch right now. So both need these wins desperately to continue to get back on track, to continue to make a first place, to make a run at first place again. They both need these wins so bad. It has nothing to even do with the fact that it's Mets versus Yankees. It's just that they're both desperate to win games at this point in time, right the ship, because they're fighting for their jobs. Some of these guys, we look at the bullpen, like we said, some of these guys are not going to be around much longer if they keep on pitching like crap. Some of these players, by the way, that are currently on the rosters, like DJ LeMahieu, whether it's, Mark Vientos, who did get a hit, which was good to see, but Brett Beatty, some of these guys might not have roster spots soon once the trade deadline comes around. So they got to start hitting. They got to start performing. They have to have big, big moments. But it's just crazy. Again, when you think about it, I don't recall a bigger Subway Series than this. You could say that Juan Soto's return to the Bronx a month ago was a huge deal. It was a huge deal because of the return to the Bronx. This series is bigger than that because of where both teams are sitting right now. And that to me is unbelievable. Again, lucky for the Mets, and we'll get to that. If anybody missed you did not miss a Rico Brogna. If you're looking for a Rico Brogna, you didn't miss a Rico Brogna. It's going to come up very soon after I'm done yapping over here. We will do a Rico Brogna with Evan Roberts. He's just in travel right now, so don't worry about that. But that being said, though, there was one play in the Mets game that they got lucky in because the call on the field was out. And a lot of times it's very, very tough to reverse calls. But in this instance, the Mets got lucky. Luis Torrens throws out Christian Yelich trying to steal second base. Lindor with a beautiful tag, the money throw. I watched it 1,000 times like everybody else. And with the call being safe on the field, I didn't think there was a chance in hell that they turned that call over. And I'll tell you this much. If I'm a Mets fan and Lindor is sliding the same way that Yelich did, and they called him safe on the field, and then it gets overturned to out, I am going ape, crazy, because there's no chance that they should overturn a call that's close. And I understand, well, that's the reason for replay, that's the reason for getting it right, but it's a bang-bang play. If you didn't rewind that and slow-mo the hell out of that and basically go frame by frame by frame by frame, you would have never known that he was out. You never would have. So by the naked eye, it's like, take away the replay, he's safe. And I got to be honest with you, I would have been okay if he was safe because that was the call on the field. And again, without the replay, no one would have known. It was that bang, bang. It was that close. And sometimes, hey, you know what? Ties go to the runner. Sometimes they don't. So things happen. That's an unfortunate call for the Brewers because, again, it was so close. Yes, I guess the umpires called it right, but on the field they called safe. So I just don't understand how you could overturn it with such minimal evidence. But Mets got it. They got away with one, and that's all that matters. It's not even getting away with one. I guess they got the call right. So that being said, I will, for now, say goodbye on WFAN Daily as we're going to get ready for the Rico Brogna. And then tomorrow, you don't want to miss it. Sal Licata is going to be at Citi Field. We already have a ton of guests lined up. John Flaherty is going to stop by. We're going to have Susan Waldman stop by. We're probably going to have Keith Rad stop by. We're going to have a couple, Dave Lennon, I believe, John Harper, John Franco, Doc Gooden. There's a ton of people stopping by. We're hoping to get some players on too. So there's going to be a lot of cool things going on tomorrow morning between 10 a.m. or Friday morning, depending on when you're listening to this. Friday morning, July 4th, between 10 a.m. and 2:30 p.m., we will be jam-packed with guests. A lot of Subway Series guests. So it should be fun. Check it out again tomorrow, WFAN. If you want to download the Odyssey app, you can find it there as well. 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Sal Licata at Citi Field. I'll be there as well. It'll be fun. There'll be a ton of guests. Don't want to miss it. And again, if you miss anything at all throughout the days, you can always go to the Odyssey app and hit the rewind function and go find it, or go to the podcast. Again, just like, subscribe, all that stuff. And whether it's Boomer and Gio, Evan and Tiki, BT and Sal, Chris McMonagle, Keith McPherson, myself, You can find everything on the Odyssey app, so don't forget to download, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Also, subscribe to the YouTube page as well. Thank you for listening to another episode of WFAN Daily. I will be, if you thought you missed the live version of Rico Bronya, you have not. We will be giving it to you in a little bit once Evan gets home. For now, go follow me at Hoff WFAN, and I will see you guys Friday morning at Citi Field. Looking forward to what will be the biggest Subway Series of all time at Citi Field and in general. Just it is that impactful between the Mets and the Yankees. Looking forward to it. Can't wait to see it. Catch you guys later. Happy 4th of July. Looking forward to the fireworks at Citi Field. See you.